Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I'm starting a couple minutes late. I needed fruit snacks. I eat like I'm 5. So, good morning. Actually, good afternoon, everyone. Unless you are in the mountain state time, mountain zone time zone, and it is 11:30 for you, or actually no, it's 12:30. So unless you're on the West Coast, good afternoon. We are talking today all about effective selling strategies. So I've been kind of on this little kick. Oh my gosh, sorry. That's not what I wanted. Play from start. So these last few trainings, perfect. So these last few trainings that I've been really working on with you guys has really just kind of been, it's kind of unofficially like a series. They kind of go, by the end of this, it'll all kind of go a little bit of in order of how things kind of work in our sales process. We are in retail, but we're also in tanning. And we are also in spa services. So it all kind of coincides with each other. So I've been doing a lot of research over the last few months over just some new ideas, some new information that I can learn personally, and then some of that information that I can pass on to you guys. So I thought it was really cool that I've unofficially kind of created this cute little series, but I didn't want to call it a series. So now we are moving past, because it always kind of starts off with obviously communication with our clients, and then it kind of goes into our product knowledge, and then it goes into how we talk to our clients, what our sales strategies are, what do we need to know about our clients, and then actually having a sales pitch, and then kind of actually selling our products. So it kind of, by the end of this entire series, it will end up kind of coming together and making a lot more sense than just kind of one-offs with these little trainings here and there. I want to make sure, obviously, this is recording. Perfect. And then I hope everyone's having a great week so far. I haven't seen you guys for a couple of months. Oh my gosh, a couple weeks. So I hope you guys are having a great May so far. And if any of you are moms, I hope you had a great Mother's Day as well. Okay, so you should be able to see me, hear me, and see the presentation. We are going to go ahead and get started, because I do know I had to push this. I know I had to push this back a couple of minutes, so that way I'm not keeping you guys for too long today. But today we're talking about effective selling strategies. If you have any questions as we go through, you can type them in the chat box, and I'll see them and I'll answer them throughout, or I'll answer them at the very end. But don't worry, everything will be answered. And then at the very end, actually kind of in the middle, there's going to be a little bit of a question. That is my giveaway question for today. And it's super exciting, you guys. So today's prize, you will get kind of a surprise mystery box of products worth over $300. So you want to stay on until the very end. So that way you also get all of this information, but I will be choosing my winners for that as well. So there will be 2 winners. Whoever answers the question correctly, the first 2 of you will end up being the winners. But any questions you guys have throughout, just make sure you put them in the chat box. We will answer them for everyone as we go through. We're going to get started. So, effective selling strategies. Today is what we're all about. May is all about sales. May is all about talking about sales when it comes to our clients. So looking back, like I was kind of started off talking about the last 3 trainings that we've done in this series so far. So the first one was creating connections through communication. Communication is very important in our industry. It's probably one of the #1 pieces of importance of our industry, because we can't sell anything if we can't talk to our clients, if we don't know how to talk to our clients. And talking to customers and kind of having that personality, and then not the shyness, but kind of breaking out of our shell to be able to talk to our customers and be confident enough in ourselves to sell them our products and sell them our services. It's not easy for everyone. Some of it does come with time. Like I remember when I first started, I'm a very shy person when I first meet you. It's really weird. I don't know why. My mom always told me when I was little, I used to go up to everyone and just say hi. I used to carry around a bottle of wine because I always wanted to carry my mom's wine around. And I would just walk up to people and say hi when I was like 5. Now I'm like really shy when I first meet people. When I kind of came into this position, I had no choice but to like break out of my shell, because I had to end up talking to people and talking in front of people and doing public speaking. So it's not something that people can overcome very easily, but it's something that can come with time once they get more comfortable in their position and kind of who they're talking to and what they're talking about. But that comes with time. But we can't sell anything if we can't talk to our customers. So creating connections through communication, building the relationships with our clients. And then we went into product training program, which I was super excited to do. I thought it was a huge hit. Our product training programs, part 1 and 2. So that way, you know, you can break it down for your employees, whether they're new, whether they're existing employees, maybe there's some new information that they haven't known before. Just breaking it down so it's kind of broken down into little steps to help learn products a little bit easier. And then today we're doing effective selling strategies. So it is going to be, it's more than just kind of making the sale. It's like effective selling strategies, it's more of like a science to figuring out the route and the direction to take when it comes to selling something for our clients. Do we want to make it super direct? Do we want to sell based on value? Do we want to sell based on kind of an experience? So there's different ways that we can do that we're going to talk about today, which is super exciting. So before we get started, my name is Megan. For those of you that don't know me, I have been here at Devoted Creations in my position. I'm the sales trainer it'll be 2 years in September, which is really exciting. I've been in the tanning industry since May 10th of 2016, and I have been on and off. So in total, I've probably been in the tanning industry for about 4.5, 5 years now. So I worked at a tanning salon while I was in college, and they only sold Devoted Creations products. So that's where all of my tanning knowledge had come from. And then I'm also born and raised in California, and I've lived in Tampa, Florida since August of 2015 because I moved here for school to go to college. So that's just a little bit about me if you haven't been on any of my trainings yet, so that way you know a little bit about the person you're listening to and watching, basically. So we're going to get started effective selling strategies. We're going to jump right in, and it starts with creating a positive experience for your clients. And that positive experience, basically, you're gaining their trust. So you are making them feel so comfortable that they're going to trust you with all of your recommendations, with anything that you tell them. And this refers to also really how our customers perceive our brand. So they're going to come in and they're going to see this really great salon. They're going to see these great products. They're going to see these happy customers, and then also happy employees behind the counter that are talking to all of these other customers and creating another experience for someone else. So creating a positive experience also wants your customers to come back. So if they don't have that great of an experience the first time they come in, they're more than likely not going to come back, just because based on whatever the experience they had. And some things could be out of their control, but it's the employees, the managers that can kind of save that experience by being super, super nice as well, and just being super apologetic depending on what the situation is. There's been plenty of times here in Florida, which is where Devoted Creations is based, our AC broke a lot, unfortunately. Then we had internet problems. We ended up having internet problems only a couple of times, but it's so hot down here. And I've heard of multiple issues of multiple tanning salons down here in Tampa and even in Florida in general, because you're blasting the AC so much that it just freezes. So then it stops working. And then it gets really, really hot. Then you have to get an AC guy out there. So you're down AC for like 30 minutes to an hour, and it's just awful because it's so hot. But then there were other times. There was one time I do remember we ended up losing, there was like a big storm that came through that knocked out our power, and then the power came on, but the Wi-Fi stopped working. And then we ended up losing AC all at the same time. I don't even know what day of the week it was, but I remember I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I was trying to call my manager. I was trying to figure out, like, what am I supposed to do? You're trying to fix it, but someone can't come out because of it's a storm and all these other things. Like, that's completely out of your control. But everyone still wants to tan. But you can't put them in a bed because the beds won't turn on because there's no power to the beds. And at that point, you're just like, I'm so sorry. I wish there was something that I can do for you. Depending on what membership they had, obviously you take down people's names, just trying to figure out who comes in, trying to figure out their membership. So at that point, if there is something that you can do, if they're running out of a package, then there might be something that you can do. But sometimes weather is out of your control, unfortunately. Well, it's just like an extreme situation, but it happens quite a bit down here in Florida because of all the storms we have. In the summer, every day at 3:30, storm coming. You just see the clouds roll in and it dumps for like 30 minutes and then it's gone. It's just a normal storm. But creating a positive experience and having that positive experience also refers to kind of all of the situations and all the times that those clients have come into the salon. So one experience might not be too detrimental if they've come in all the time and something ends up happening. Like, they're not going to not come back, but it's going to help. It's going to kind of drag down their experience. So we want to make sure everyone has a great experience when they come into the salon, when they're coming in to kind of use your services or even buy the products. However, first impressions do happen within the first 3 seconds, and they only take 3 seconds to really kind of determine a first impression. So I know I've talked about this before. If you guys have ever seen me do kind of a sales training, or maybe you even know this from your own personal experience or personal research that you've done or heard someone else say it, that first impressions can take anywhere from about 3 to 5 seconds. And it's true. I read something recently that said 3 seconds. So we're sticking with 3 seconds. And a lot of times that's what will make or break that experience. So first impressions are huge when it comes into, especially new clients coming in and they've never been there before. So first impressions are huge. They only take 3 seconds. So you want to make sure your employees behind the counter, even the managers, anyone else that's working, has the right attitude when you're building the experience. So choosing to kind of have the right attitude and the best approach when it comes to your existing clients and your future clients, if you approach it positively, confidently, and then with enthusiasm too, it's going to improve the experience because it's going to show the customers that you're so dedicated and not only talking to just them, but also talking kind of about what the services and what the salon brings and what your brand brings. So being positive and showing up and approaching it positively and with enthusiasm, and then also confidently. They don't know if you mess up on something that you're talking about, but if you're approaching it confidently, they're never going to know. They don't need to know. But as long as you're approaching it with confidence and you're approaching it with enthusiasm, it's going to show them that that you are excited to talk to them about your products and services because they came in for a reason. So then you have to figure out what that reason is, and then you talk about it even more confidently and enthusiastically. The easiest turn off to clients is not having a good attitude. And I don't think I've ever seen it firsthand, but I would have to think like really hard for that because I don't know if I've ever seen it kind of firsthand where someone has like a really bad attitude. I've heard about it. Let me tell you, I have heard about it. Actually, no. Oh my gosh. No. I've heard about someone having not that best of an attitude. I don't think I was working that day, but he ended up having a meltdown at the front desk or something ended up happening. I don't remember what it was, but not having a great attitude is actually one of the easiest and biggest turnoffs to a client. They don't want to come in if you're not going to give them a good experience, if you're not going to be happy and just excited that they're there to come in and like spend the next 30 minutes with you in your salon. If you don't have that experience, like that enthusiasm back to them, they're not going to feel that and they're just going to be like, this is not a fun environment to be in. This isn't what, like, I'm just going to come into tan and leave. Like, I don't want to talk to these employees if they're not going to be happy and they're going to give me just like a blah experience. So not having a good attitude is one of the easiest turnoffs for clients. And you want to make sure that everyone has a really good attitude. There are some things that happen in our personal lives and we might have to put aside when we come into work. Some things are extremely difficult, but if you need to take the time, just have your employees just go to the back and kind of cry it out, run it out, yell it out, do whatever, and then come back and have a happy smile on their face. So they need to push it aside to make sure that they're not putting their problems and their attitude onto our customers. We don't want to do that. So we want to create a positive experience for our customers, and that starts as soon as they walk into the door. And then you want to share relevant information with them. Customers want to know about our products and services, but in pertinent and time-sensitive information. And I have spoken about this before, where I believe since COVID, this is my own opinion, I believe since COVID that our FaceTime with our clients has dramatically dropped. And that's because our clients are always in a hurry to do things, which is not bad. But I feel like before COVID, we used to have so many clients, and I even myself had so many clients that would come in and they would just sit there and talk and talk and talk and talk, not in a bad way, but they would just tell you everything about their lives. You knew everything about them and they knew everything about you because they come in all the time and they just want to talk. We are, and I've also said this before, that we are kind of like the service, I don't want to say service people, but the services of the industry of like a hair salon, like a hairstylist or a nail stylist, because, or even like a facial, like an esthetician, because they just sit there and you're just sitting there and all you're doing is talking. So at this point, they know everything about you, but you also know everything about them because you're sitting there for an hour and you're just talking to them. And that's where our clients kind of come in and feel, because we're a breath of fresh air. So they come in and want to share relevant information. So we want to share relevant information with them. It helps build trust with our clients if they know a little bit of personal information about us. We don't have to tell them like our social security number or anything, but at least kind of having those real world experiences with our clients and just kind of creating conversation with them and talking to them can also be really good. But since COVID, that time kind of has drastically dropped. So some of our clients can still come in and do that and they don't even have a care in the world. They'll sit there for 5 hours and talk to us on your whole shift. Or we have clients that come in and they come in on their lunch break because they're in the rush, or they just kind of fit it in during their day of errands. And so they're kind of not really in the mood to sit there for 30 minutes and talk to us. So when we're talking about products and or services, we have to talk about it what's the word? We have to talk about it efficiently, but quickly at the same time, but not too quick. You don't want to kind of rush through it and make them feel rushed. You want to make sure you're talking about everything efficiently, but also in a time-sensitive fashion, according to the statement. So sharing relevant information, the best part about this is that when you're sharing information, really just telling them about your services and clients, you're impressing your customers with confidence, knowledge, and then friendliness as well. So you're casually having a conversation with them about what you offer, but you're talking about it confidently. They don't know anything about what you offer, especially if it's a new client. They don't know anything about what you're talking about, but you approach it confidently, that you're so confident in what you provide and what you can do for them. And so they're going to be impressed by that and impressed by your knowledge and of your confidence. I've had someone tell me before, they're like, wow, you know so much about tanning. Like, I didn't know any of that. It took me a long time to know all of this information. But if you have all the information, you can play it off as if you're so confident talking about it. So it also makes them more comfortable kind of sharing information with you as well. If you have a friendly approach to whatever you're talking about, services, products, the weather, you could be talking about it so friendly and have a friendly environment, friendly approach to it, that they're going to feel more confident in being able to share information to you about them as well, kind of why they're tanning, why they're coming in. As normally we think of it being super casual, like, oh, what brings you in today? What are you tanning for? When is your wedding? When is your vacation? Like, they don't have any obligation to answer any of that, but they trust us because they believe in kind of the aura that we give off, like not a sciencey aura, but like the aura that we give off, the friendliness and the environment that we give off, that they're comfortable enough to answer those questions for us. I've never really had anyone ever turn me down and say, I'm not going to tell you that. Like, my wedding's a secret, or my destination is a secret. I've never had anyone ever tell me that. That'd be really weird if that ever happened. But most of the time, people are just open to share that information, but it helps if you approach it in a friendly way as well. Casually get to know your customers. Sharing relevant information with yourself helps them share relevant information with them. Like I said, you don't have to be super personal where you tell them like your social security number, what's going on. Like if it's a deep personal issue, you don't ever have to talk about that with anyone. Outside of like maybe family, or if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to talk about it. I ended up going in, I created a really good relationship with one of our clients, a handful of our clients, but the one that sticks out, she knew everyone who worked in our Tampa location. She knew everyone by name. She was like our favorite customer. She knew everyone by name. She knew everything that was going on in our personal lives. And I'm not one to share like my own personal stories to clients unless I kind of know them on not so much a personal level, but if I know them on a regular basis. But there was a situation that I was going through where I didn't talk to anyone except for one person about it that I worked with. And she was the only one that knew, because I was keeping it from everyone because I just didn't want to display that information out. And I remember coming in one day after not being there for a couple of weeks, and our client came in and she just knew something was wrong based on kind of how my face looked. And it sucks because my face shows everything. And it was the wrong day, and it just, everything hit me all at once. And she was like, something is wrong. She knew right away. I can normally hide things, but my face also shows everything, unfortunately. So she ended up knowing something was wrong, and I kind of broke down and I told her, but I don't tell it my clients, like, it's not information that I need to bear them with because it's a really deep conversation. So it's not something that like I'm open enough to talking to just anyone. It was a situation I was going through, but she ended up knowing something was wrong, and I felt comfortable enough to talk to her. So if you know that you're comfortable enough to talk to them about a specific situation like that, they're going to be comfortable enough to talk to you about anything. You don't have to display obviously anything super personal like that. But if they know that you are friendly enough and you're giving a little bit pieces of information about yourself, like what you do on the weekends. Oh my gosh, you went to that restaurant the other day, or that's the favorite beach that you go to as well. So you can kind of create those personal connections with your clients. It gives them more incentive to kind of get to know them, but they also get to know you so that you build that relationship, which makes the experience 10 times better. That was a really big roundabout. Okay, this is my giveaway question. I'm so excited. So I'm going to have this open. So my giveaway question, I hope you guys are all paying attention. So this prefaces what we're going to talk about next. Is this statement true or false? You can create a good first impression while even multitasking, or even while multitasking. So doing multiple things at once, that you can create a really good first impression at the same time. Is this statement true or false? This is my giveaway question. So whoever answers this correctly, according to my research, you are my giveaway winner for today. It's so exciting. Okay, you guys are paying attention. Okay, true, 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 false. But you only have 3 seconds. That is correct. You only have 3 seconds. Okay. Let's see. True. The answer is actually false. So I thought it was true at the same time. I took the same kind of question quiz, and it's really interesting because I actually thought it was true the same way that you guys think it's true. So what the research that I did and kind of the information that I had found from this specific site and this specific kind of program that I was going through, they actually say this is false, because what you want to do, you want to actually give your undivided attention to your clients that are coming in. So if it's a new client or an existing client, just drop what you're doing and help them at the same time, unless you can finish what you're doing, depending on what it is. But what my research ended up finding was that you can, but it's also not true at the same time, because you want to be able to give your clients your undivided attention for those few seconds or those few minutes that you're actually talking to them. So those of you that said true, I thought the same exact way. And I still kind of believe it's a little bit true, because you can. And I have to say I'm a multitasker, but the way that they explained it as being able to put everything down and give your undivided attention to your clients, and because it's literally for maybe 5 minutes. So being able to put things down and give your undivided attention to your clients actually also makes a lot of sense, because you can drop what you're doing. Even if you're cleaning a bed, you can stop cleaning the bed to go help a customer and then go re-clean the bed or finish cleaning the bed after that. You don't have to finish cleaning it right away before you go help that client. So I've done that before, and I've done both ways before. But it's actually, it can go both ways. But the research that I found actually said it was false. I do believe it both ways, but I also understand and I agree with the false statement that you want to make sure that you're giving your undivided attention to your clients. And I know when you're working by yourself, it's hard because you have to do multiple things at once. But sometimes when you talk to a client, it can literally be as little as 5 minutes. So there is a little bit of time that you can finagle in there. Sheila said false. So Sheila, you are my winner. And you also said it shows that you are not interested if you don't have your full attention, which is very true. It goes both ways. I do see it both ways. I do agree with both ways, but I also agree with the false statement. But you do only have 3 seconds to make a good first impression. You are correct, Amanda. So I know that was probably a shocking statement to hear. It was really weird when I first read it. I was like, because I remember doing the question, and what it was like, it was an interactive thing. So I had to like swipe it to true or swipe it to false. And I remember swiping it to true. I was like, yeah, you can create a good first impression even while you're multitasking. And it was like, that's not correct. I was like, what? Like, it's like everything was just told to me wrong, or I've thought the wrong thing the whole time. But it's like, I still believe it's still kind of true, depending on, like, if you're working by yourself, you have no choice but to multitask. But it is also true that you want to give your clients your full undivided attention for as long as you're helping them. Because there's always other times that you can go do all of your other multitasking agenda, not even tasks, multitasking tasks, that you can go and actually help your client first and then finish doing that afterwards, which makes a lot of sense too. It's something that I have to rework my brain to do, because I'm a straight multitasker, but I believe it in both ways at the same time. So thank you for playing, guys. But we're going to continue on. So because this kind of leads into selling strategies. So greeting your customers as soon as they walk in the door and giving them your full undivided attention. So being able to drop what you're doing, even if you're helping another customer, obviously you don't want to stop helping one customer to help another customer. At least acknowledge your customer as they walk in the door and basically just say, hi, nice to meet you, or nice to see you again. I'll be right with you. Give me 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 seconds. I always say seconds, just like as not an exaggeration, but just like a quick thing to make it sound like really quick. But I don't know if I should be saying that. But I would say I'll be right with you. So at least acknowledging your customers as they walk in the door, even if you can't help them right in that very first second, that is within your first 3 seconds of your first impression, because you know that they're there and you acknowledge them. So greeting your customers as soon as they walk in the door, it gives you an increase in sales too, because that could also give them a little bit of time to look at the lotions on the shelves, look at the lotions on the wall. And you can also kind of, they'll be looking at anything that you have around and they might be interested in something. They're like, oh, that's new. Or greeting them just helps open up that conversation and kind of opens the arms to them being comfortable enough to listen to what you're wanting to say about products, or listening to a sales pitch or anything like that. It improves the customer comfort level. They're comfortable enough to talk to you, and they don't feel kind of like shoved away. They don't feel a cold shoulder or anything like that because you acknowledge them walking in, and it's very open and very happy. And it can also promote repeat business because they know you're happy. They know you acknowledge them with a smile on your face as they walked in the door. It's very simple. But sometimes I feel like some of these simple things get overlooked. And I know we're such hard workers in this industry, but sometimes the simple things get overlooked and we have to go back to the basics. So just greeting them as soon as they walk in the door, it repeats repeat business because they know, they're like, oh, every time I come in, they're always saying hi to me as soon as I walk in the door. Even if they're off doing something, they come in and say hi with a smile. So they're always kind of making sure that it repeats repeat business as well. Then you recognize the customer. Oh my gosh, this is my favorite thing. If you recognize the customer and you know their name, use their name because it literally shocks them. It's crazy. It shocks them. They're like, you see how many people a day and you remembered me from yesterday? I was like, yeah. I remembered the car you drove. I remembered the way you spell your name. I remembered what your face looked like because I remember what you look like. So there's different things that some people can kind of pick on, or not pick on, but pick to remember to kind of remember that client. I always used to remember cars because the way that our windows were, we had like 8 parking spots that were right there. So I always remembered cars or when they would pull off the street. And then I always remembered the way that people would spell their names if they had to spell it out for me. So I always remembered like unique spellings. I don't know why I always remembered it, but I remembered that. I remember their last name before their first name, always. And then I knew their birthday at that point. But I remembered always like specific things before I actually knew a name. I know faces before names. My biggest flaw, if I could tell you my one biggest flaw, is I suck at remembering names. Like, it's terrible. It's like my worst thing that I always try to work on, and it just never gets better because I see so many people and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And it takes me so long to remember names in general. So I always had a hard time remembering names at first, but I remember faces and cars, which is like different other things. And then I remembered their names. But if you remember their name, use their name because it's like really cool. So like, hey, Mike, nice to see you again. Or hey, Mike, how was your weekend? Or hey, Sarah, how was your weekend? So you thank them for coming back into the salon because obviously they're coming back because they either got a membership, they like your business, they like the services you offer, they like the products, they like the people that work there. And then also customers like to return to friendly environments. So as long as you keep a friendly environment going, everyone's going to keep wanting to return, and they're going to help kind of spread the word that, oh my gosh, everyone there is super nice. We had so many people who came in who were always like, Brandy told me that you guys are super nice over here. She loves all of you girls. So she was like, you have to go in and get a spray tan for your event there. Like, they're going to be super nice. They'll set you up. They'll give you the right products. They'll do everything for you, basically. And we had a lot of clients that always had referrals to us, basically. And Brandy was one of our favorite customers. She always came in. She knew everything about us. We knew everything about her. But you have clients like that. I'm sure you do. So customers like to return to friendly environments as well. Let's see. Okay. Oopsies. Okay, so next you're establishing orientation. And I remember this kind of sounds really weird, but when you're establishing orientation with a customer, it's basically trying to figure out what your customer wants. So most of the time our customers come in and they tell us what they want. They want to get a spray tan. They want to get a UV tan. They want to do red light. They want a bronzer. Most of the time they'll tell us what they want. The other part of the time, we have to like pick at them and try to figure out what they're actually tanning for, what they're wanting to use as a lotion, if they use anything at home for a tan extender. So I would say actually about 35% of the time, they'll tell us what they want. And then about 65% of the time, you have to like work really hard to figure it out. Because there are some people that just like don't answer your questions. And then there's also some people that will just answer your questions and then elaborate at the same time, which extends the time that you're with them, which is not bad. But most of the time they'll tell us what they want to do. So telling them which services you have, you'll end up kind of basically going back to them and saying, oh, I want to do this. Okay, perfect. We have a bed that can help you do that. We have a spray tan that can help you do that. You're telling them exactly what they can have and how it's going to help them. So that's what establishing orientation kind of means in that aspect. And then you can use small talks. This is another little form of a selling strategy, is using small talk to uncover the reason why clients kind of come into your salon. That's another way of saying asking questions, but it's not so much asking questions tailored toward your salon, like it is, but it isn't at the same time. So when you're using small talk, you can literally say, how was your weekend? And they're like, oh my gosh, it was great. We went and watched the Lightning game at Armature Works, which is what I did. We stayed until the second period and then we left because of traffic. Like traffic was going to be insane. And the Lightning ended up winning. So now they're in round 2 and they won game 1 last night. Just showing it on random details. And then you can also say, what are you doing for the holiday weekend? Because there is Memorial Day weekend coming up. So are they doing anything fun? Are they going to the beach? Let's get them tan to go to the beach. Let's get them tan to go on the boat. Are they going on vacation? Where are you going on vacation? Or where are you getting married? So a lot of times, I feel like this time right now, kind of springtime was always when we had a lot of brides or bridesmaids come in and they were getting tan for either a bachelorette party, they were getting tan because they were in a wedding. So that brings up casual information. You're like, oh, where are you going? Where are you going for the wedding? Where are you going for your bachelorette party? So it's just little more information that you can click and you're like, oh, I'm going to Miami. Well, let's get you tan to go to Miami, or let's get you tan to go to Nashville or Scottsdale or anywhere that's like a super popular place that everyone goes to. So just small talk helps. You can even tailor your questions towards not so much the tanning side and your services, but a little more information that gives you information to pull out and like, okay, I have the best product for this. I have the best type of service for this. Like you can do a bed and a spray tan. I have the best package for you. So you're automatically also thinking kind of what you can give them as they're talking about and answering your questions. Small talk obviously equals open-ended conversation or open-ended questions at the same time. So that way they can't say yes or no to anything. So when it comes to open-ended questions or even small talk in general, what types of questions can you ask? And I actually learned something new while doing research for this. We always talk about open-ended questions and closed-ended questions, but there's a third one. There's a third type of questions that you can ask, and it's called follow-up questions, which we might already do this without realizing it's called a follow-up question. So asking questions obviously help you understand their why as to why your clients come into your salon. It helps you formulate their solution. So what are you going to offer them that's going to help give them a solution to what they're looking for? They want to be tan for this. Okay, what package do you have? What services do you have for that? How can you combine your services to help give them what they're looking for? And what products do you have that'll be helpful for them? So what types of questions can you ask? Obviously open versus closed questions. The time frame of in your conversation to where you can put this. So open-ended questions you want to ask at the beginning and the middle of a conversation. So that might sound, yes, that's kind of obvious, but again, the obvious things sometimes get overlooked. So open-ended questions, always want to open with us like, hi, how are you? How are you doing today? What did you do for your weekend? So it just kind of naturally flows without us really realizing it, but open-ended questions should be kind of at the beginning and the middle of the conversation. And then obviously your closed-ended questions are at the end of the conversation to help close the sale. And then you go into follow-up questions. So follow-up questions are questions that the clients really, it questions the way that the client thinks, if that makes sense. There's a phrase to this, and it's going to take me too long to think of the phrase, but there's a phrase for it, and it basically questions the client. It like makes the client think like, I think like this because I was told this. Like, it's not necessarily true. I don't know who told you that, when you found out that information, how you found out that information, but the way that we do things now, the way that Devoted Creations does things now, it's a little bit different. So it actually kind of goes away from that myth. So the biggest thing, why are you not using any tanning lotion today? Oh, I think every lotion's going to be, every lotion's a tingle and it's going to turn me orange. It's not necessarily true. We do have tingle lotions, but we actually have a majority of our lotions are non-tingle products, and not every lotion is going to turn you orange because we actually have anti-orange ingredients that we use, so it helps combat the natural orange tones of your skin. So no lotion can turn you orange. Everything helps you tan on a more natural brown side. The ingredients and the formulas have changed over the years. It questions the way that the client thinks because they think of this because they either were told it or they found it on the internet, or it's a big giant myth that they believe. So we end up wanting to kind of question the way that the clients think. It pushes them to think of it and also in a different perspective. So that's why when you tell them that the formulas have changed, the ingredients have changed, we do ingredient research throughout the year. They don't know that until you tell them that. So it pushes them to think in a different perspective at the same time. It shows them that you're engaged in the conversation by going back and forth with them when it comes to asking questions. So asking them a follow-up question shows that you're engaged and you want to know more, like, why do you not tan with any lotion? How did you find that out? Why do you think like that? Who told you that? This and that. So eventually it's going to be that you're showing that you're engaged with them in their conversation, because you might be curious as to why they think the way that they think, because you want to know their mindset and why they think that. It also shows, oh, my example was, why don't you use any lotion? Because it was the most easy example that I can think of. So why don't you use any lotion while you tan? We all have those three main problems, or three main answers that we get. They think every lotion's a tingle. They think every lotion is going to turn them orange, or they tan perfectly fine without lotion because they have an olive skin tone and they're Italian. I used to actually say reason number 3, not so much that I tan fine without lotion, but I did think I used to tan fine until I actually stopped tanning for like a year and a half. And now I do not tan easily. I do not have an olive skin tone. I actually tan orange because I have orange pigment in my skin apparently. So I do not tan as well as I thought I did. So what I thought was obviously wrong. And with all the knowledge that I've had being in my position and being in the tanning industry, what I knew originally was wrong. So it's just, it kind of just questions the way that they think, but it also makes them realize, they're like, I didn't even think of it like that. Like, I was just told this, I saw it on YouTube from like years ago. And in reality, it's not all true. Spray tans don't turn you orange. So why would a lotion turn you orange? So it kind of goes hand in hand with that too. So you want to also ask one question at a time. You don't want to bombard them with a 3-part question, because then they feel compelled to answer all 3 parts, but they might actually forget one of the parts. I don't know where this happened recently. I was doing something recently where someone had asked me like a 2.5-part question, and I get so invested, or clients can get so invested in kind of answering the first part of the question and then forget the second part. So you want to ask kind of just one question at a time. It might extend the length of the conversation, but you're making it simple and you're simplifying it for the customer to be able to understand and answer your questions, not feel like rushed or feel like, oh my gosh, I don't even remember what the second question was. What was it? So we want to make sure your clients are not feeling overwhelmed or bombarded with questions all at one time. But you want to ask them in closeness of each other. So you don't want to ask a question and then have them answer it and then do something on the computer for like 10 seconds and then go and ask another question. You want to kind of consistently ask them questions after they're done answering, because if you leave kind of like that dead space or that dead pause in between your questions and in your conversation, it just kind of like brings the conversation down. It doesn't keep lifting it up. It doesn't feel like you're engaging in the conversation, because if you just keep like stopping and pausing and stopping and or talking and pausing and then talking and pausing, your clients are just gonna be like, I don't understand what's going on. I just want to go tan. So you want to keep that conversation flowing, and that means by asking questions consistently one after another and keeping the conversation flowing. But avoid getting caught up trying to make the sale. You want to make sure you let it flow naturally. So you don't want to try to like insert into the conversation like, oh, let me tell you about this product. You want to have it flow naturally to where they're at a time in their conversation to where they're ready to actually listen to you talk about product. You don't want to interrupt them while they're talking about their bachelorette party or their weekend to you talking about product all of a sudden. You want to let it flow naturally so it doesn't come off really weird or come off rude to the client or anything like that. Biggest thing is ask about your customer. I'm not sure I don't even know if I did this a lot. I feel like I did do this a lot, and I've always been that type of person where I don't want to be super invasive. But we're in this industry where clients think of us as kind of confidants. They come to us and tell us everything. But ask about your customer, even if it's someone who doesn't share anything too much, just lightly ask about them, like, oh, what are you doing tonight? Where are you going for dinner? Do you have any plans to go watch the Lightning game or the playoffs or the basketball game? Just casually asking some sort of little pieces of information. Just asking about your customer means it shows them that like, okay, this person actually cares about me. And it kind of goes both ways. So if you're asking about your customer, think of it as kind of like a relationship. If you're on a date with someone and this person is just constantly talking about themselves and not asking about you, how engaged do you feel kind of in that conversation if it's not really an A and B conversation? So it kind of just goes, it shows the customer that you're just slightly interested in them, even if it's just a small question like, what are you doing this weekend? Or what did you do this past weekend? Just start slowly off like that. Create commonalities between you and your customer. This is actually super important because you're creating those personal experiences. You're giving your clients personal experiences. So using the lotion and using your services. So between you and the customer, you're establishing trust, because if you're trying to sell something to your customer, I feel like 75% of the time, your customer is always going to come back and say, oh, have you used this? Yes, I have, and I absolutely love it. Or I haven't possibly used it yet. I haven't had the chance, but Sarah has used it and she literally loves it. And she sold 5 bottles of it already because she just can't stop talking about it. So giving those personal experiences to your clients creates trust between them. So they're trusting your recommendations. If you haven't used the product, or if you haven't used the services and you're just trying to talk off someone else's experience, that works, but it doesn't click in their minds the same way as if you used those experiences and you used those products and services. But using your personal stories sometimes are better selling points than the other selling points that we give you, because clients might understand, they know the skincare that's in it, but what they really care about is how it's going to tan them and how it's going to kind of feel on their skin, what the tanning can do, what the red light can do for their skin. You can tell them that before you talk about all 5 skincare ingredients that are in it. They're going to trust you even more, and they're going to trust what you're going to say after that. So tell them how it works and what it can do based off of what it does for you. This goes into you guys trying the products and trying the services. I know red light is a little bit difficult because you have to do it like consistently. It's like working out, and I don't work out, but I know you have to do that consistently before you start seeing results. So if you have it, do it. It is going to be a little bit difficult, but how does it make you feel even after a couple of sessions? Before you see results, obviously it's going to take a little bit of time. You have to stay consistent with it, but being able to talk about what the lotion does for you and what that bed does for you, it sells it that much better at the same time. And always talk positively about the experiences. It is huge. You never want to talk negatively about a product. You also never want to talk negatively about a service that you offer, because then that client is never going to buy that product or never use that service. So you want to make sure you're always talking about positive experiences. Even if you didn't have that great of an experience with that product or with that service the first time, try it again. Because, just like 3rd time's a charm, 2nd time's a charm, 7th time's a charm, it's fine. But try it again, and then always never talk negatively about the products and services that you offer. And if there's a way, even if you don't have a good experience, you don't even have to talk about it. There was another experience. I just love telling you guys my stories. They're so funny. These things come back into my mind. There was not a situation, but there was a time where I was in the salon. This was a couple years ago. I was in the salon, and this girl was trying to talk about lotions to a couple of clients. They were like a couple, and we had 3 of us working. And so one person was talking to the clients. The other person was kind of grabbing the lotions down. I don't remember why. And then I was off cleaning beds. And I remember walking back up, and the girl I was working with pulled down a product. And she pulled down a couple of different products, and she ended up pulling down the product, smelling it before she gave it to the clients, and was like, oh, that doesn't smell good, and put it back on the counter. I was like, what? I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute. And she pulled down a product that didn't even go into a bronzer category anyways, but that's besides the point. She pulled down the product, she smelled it before giving it to the client, and then literally said out loud in front of everyone to hear, oh, that doesn't smell good, let me put that back. Like, don't say that. Just pull it down, even if you don't like it and you're going to sell it anyways. There are some products that don't smell good on me personally after tanning, but I still talk about it. I don't talk about it how it smells weird, but it smells good in the bottle. So I don't have to tell them that it makes me smell weird afterwards, because it makes other people smell good. So I'm not going to tell them my personal experience with it if it's not a good one. I'm going to tell them what it smells like before and what it can smell like afterwards, because the way that lotions smell is different among everyone. So it's super weird. I was like, oh my goodness. So talk about your experiences positively. It makes a huge difference. Using curiosity to make the sale. And I know you guys run into this too when it comes to curiosity, because you'll see a product, or you'll see like a new product announcement or something like that, and you're like, ooh, what's that? And it's like, oh my God, I must have that. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna have it anyways because it looks so freaking cute. So during the selling process, most of the time your client is already kind of making up their decision in their head of if what you're selling is going to meet their needs, because they are listening to you, whether or not, believe it or not, they are actually listening to us. 90% of the time they probably are. 10% of the time they're probably just like in one ear, not the other, which is unfortunate because we can't stop that from happening. But most of the time they're going to be listening to us when they're talking. But during that time that they're listening, they're already making up their mind if this product is going to work for them. So whether it's based on smell, whether it's based on the way the product is, whether they're actually listening to the ingredients that are in it, and they're like, oh my gosh, that sounds cool. We're like, what is that? What is hibiscus extract? What is miramaze? What is blue tansy? I don't know. I just named random ones. But generating curiosity for the customer is they already have curiosity because they don't know what's on your shelf. So they're going to walk in and they're going to see all of these lotions on your shelves and they're going to be like, what are these? Like I've had people come in and they're like, what are those? Like, I don't even know what these are. But you have clients that come in and they're like, I don't like, that one looks really cool. Like, what's that one? They'll base their curiosity a lot of times off of the design if they've actually never heard about it before. So use it as an opportunity to provide all of the information about that product that you want them to know. So I want someone to know that DC Glow, who's sitting here, that DC Glow is an accelerator. This also has a really cool perfumey scent, so it makes you smell really, really good afterwards. And it has a 24-hour moisture system, so it leaves your skin hydrated for a really long time. This also has charcoal extract, so it absorbs any excess oil on the skin, as well as niacinamide, so it helps with blue light, and it also protects against free radical damage and targeting any acne formations on the skin. That's what I want this customer to know about this product, because they're curious about why DC Glow looks the way it looks, and they feel it and they're like, oh my gosh, it's raised. What is this product? So they already have curiosity about it. So then use that as an opportunity to obviously tell them everything that you want them to know about that product. It's new, it's limited edition, it's our favorite product. It could be anything. So generate curiosity for the customer, but how do you generate curiosity? Like I said, most of the time they're going to have that themselves because they're like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. This is so cool. I want to know what that one is because it looks really cool. So they don't know what they're looking at unless they're coming into the salon most of the time. So establish the difference between what they know and what they want to know. So they already know that this is a tanning lotion, but they want to know what type of lotion it is. They want to know what's in it. They want to know what it's going to do. So establishing that difference at the same time, like, do they even know anything about lotion? Maybe, maybe not. So then you tell them everything that they want to know about it. Providing partial pieces of information to keep them interested. I remember reading this and I was like, so it's kind of like teasing them a little bit, but you don't have to tell them partial pieces of information like this is DC Glow and make it seem so like mysterious. I feel like giving them partial pieces of information can kind of be a little bit on the mysterious side, but that pretty much means that you don't have to tell them everything that's in that product right away. You can give them the name, the type of lotion, and the base, and maybe like a cool key fact about it before you tell them everything else. So just give them a little bit pieces of information before giving them everything else at the same time. So that way you don't have to give them everything all at once. You can have them be like, okay, I want to know more. Like, I want to know how much this is. I want to know how it's going to make my skin feel. Like, I actually want to buy this to try it out myself. So using curiosity to make the sale is how you generate curiosity. So also use stimulation. This is just basically like stimulation is basically you're stimulating arousal to sparking their interest. And you're sparking their interest because they're feeling it. So it's stimulating their senses. So they're feeling it, they're smelling it, they're touching it. So it's sparking their interest into the product. Think of it as lighting a fire. And I remember reading that too as like an example. And I was like, that's a good one. Because imagine if you've ever been to a bonfire or if you've ever, like, if you have a fireplace and you've started a fire, it's like, it's so mesmerizing to where you just like watch it go up in flames and then you're just sitting there watching it for like 30 seconds. Whether you're outside, you're doing it outdoors or indoors. It's kind of what it's similar to that. You want them to feel like stimulated by it. So they want to know more about it and they're mesmerized by the product, whether it's the way it smells, the way it touches, or the way it feels while you're talking to them about it based on the information that's in it at the same time. Use novelty of a product. This is something that I had to do a little bit more research on because I didn't understand it at first. Because novelties, normally when you think of a novelty item, it's basically like an, what's the word? A little trinket, but not a trinket. Like an older product or an older item that you can't get anymore. That's what I think of as a novelty. Like a novelty item. Or it's something that's like that you keep. That's a novelty, I think, that you like keep and it's like a keepsake. Oh my gosh, keepsake. So using the novelty of the product, but that's what I used to think novelty was until I had to do a little bit of research on it. So the novelty of a product can actually mean the quality, whether it's new, it's ongoing, or it's unusual. So there are some products that have a little bit of unusual characteristics to them, like Prismatica. It has color changing plastic for the bottle. Like, that's unusual. We're the only ones that have that. Like, that's super cool. or it's a new arrival. So it ends up being coconut color cream or Bronze Confidential or our body washes. So using the novelty of an item as another selling point, stimulating their interest into the product, because everyone wants what's new, everyone wants what's limited edition. So by giving them that novelty item and telling them like, this is new, this is limited edition, this is the last 5 that we have on the shelf, so buy all of them, or just any type of situation like that. So new arrivals, ongoing promotions, obviously personal recommendations that they might find interesting, the way that you do something in your services. Do you do, if they don't know anything about red light, let's say you have a red light bed, a UV bed, and then a spray tan, and you want to do, you normally do all 3. And they're like, oh, how do you, like, you're so tan, I want to be as tan as you. What do you do? Well, I do red light, and then I jump into the tanning bed, and then I jump into the spray tan afterwards, and then I only tan once a week. And then I do red light like every 3 days or every 2 days. And they're like, you can do that? Like, people don't know. So by telling them all that information, and they might find that super interesting and they might want to do the same things. Using stimulation also has kind of the novelty part of it also gives them, our clients, a sense of feeling left out, of FOMO, basically feeling left out if they don't have it. So severe FOMO. So you kind of want to instill in them that if you don't have this, you're going to be missing out on what it can do for your skin. Like, it might not be here next month, it might not be here next week. So I want you to have this. You don't feel like you've missed out on an experience. So the biggest thing, and I put this down for like kids and toys, because the biggest thing that I can remember, my cousin is, how am I, 27? My cousin's 17 now. But when he was little, he was like 5 or 6, he had a friend that lived across the street. He was kind of like a distant neighbor. He had a friend that lived like across the street, but down the street. And they always hung out with each other, but his friend's parents lived in a really nice house and gave him anything that he wanted. So he had an iPad, he had an Xbox, he had really cool shoes that were like $200, even though this kid was 5. I was like, that's cool. I didn't have that, but that's cool. Like, I want that too. And I'm however old I am. And my cousin always came home afterwards. I remember there was like, we were over for like Christmas or something. My cousin was talking about it. And he was like, well, Jared has this, Jared has an iPad, Jared has these Jordans, Jared has this. And my cousin was like, I don't have any of that, I want that. So he has the fear of missing out. It's a lot more instilled in kids to always feel like they want everything that someone else has that they don't. But it's just kind of reminded me of that situation, because I remember that scenario. And I was like, it makes sense, because kids always want what other kids have. Or if kids are like, no, that's mine. Like, I want that, that's mine now. So kids are savages sometimes too. So kids and toys, most of the time they want to make sure that they have it, even if they don't, like, they want it. Or if you don't have it, if they're going to feel missed out if their parents don't have it, or if they don't have it by the time they turn 6. If it's a last in stock, clients are always going to feel left out if they don't end up buying it either. I've had that situation where someone waited to buy a product and we had ended up selling it that day, and that customer had come back in like later on that night and she wanted to buy it and we didn't have it anymore. She's like, oh man, like, that's the fear of missing out. So if you're going to feel like they're going to be missing it out, they got to buy it right now. And then lastly is like bestsellers too. Everyone wants what's best selling. Everyone wants what's new. So we want to make sure that they're getting these bestsellers into their hands. So words that you can use when you're talking to your clients too, or even kind of maybe not so much using the words, but using what the words mean. So you can use novelty. So that's a new arrival. If it's an unusual characteristic about the bottle, the scarcity of it. So is it running out? Is it last in stock? We don't know when we're getting it back in stock, and what the benefits can do. So it's words that spark curiosity within our clients' minds. Next is selling based on value. This is really big. I've touched on this before. I feel like when I talk to some of the salons, and like, you have to instill the value behind the product, because is someone going to spend $144 on Fortune if you just tell them it's a bronzer and they can spray tan with it? No. So you have to instill the value behind the product, because you have to justify that price. You don't have to never tell them the price up front, but they're going to ask. 99.9% of the time, they're going to ask. And if you tell them, oh, it's $144, they're like, for this? What? But you didn't tell them everything that's in it that justifies that. Then they're not going to understand why. So you have to sell the product based on its value before based on the price. So customers always use price as one of their main factors when considering a product. We all know that. They always ask what the price is. And I've had so many clients go, $150 for this? What? Heck no. I'll go get it somewhere else. And I'm like, that's not true. You can't do that. You won't get the best ingredients and the best value for your product. You will not get this, and it will not do the same exact thing. So customers always use, like I said, price as one of their main factors when kind of considering a product or a service. Another factor is that value of the product that they will get, the value that they will get from that service. So the price the client will pay directly reflects how they see the value of the product. Is it going to fulfill their needs? Are they coming in? Is it going to help give them the tan that they're looking for in 4 days? Is it going to help give them the appearance to their skin that they're wanting from Red Light in 6 months, however long that they plan on doing it for, whatever their package goes for? So price does not equal value. So I know value kind of sets the price. I know I've talked about that before, but price does not equal value, which is something that we have to make sure we're not telling them the price first. Because as soon as we tell them the price, if they don't want to buy $144, they're not even going to listen to you talk about it. They might let you listen to talk about it, but they're not going to actually pay attention to you. So always tell them what's in it before you tell them the price. By selling a product using its value, you help the customer realize that obviously what you have and what you can offer can help them achieve what they're looking for. And that goes together with services and products. There is no one size fits all solution for all of our clients. Every client situation is different no matter what. You might be able to sell the same products to clients, but the way that you approach it and the way that what they're looking for is not going to be the same for everyone. So you can't bring down Malibu to sell to every single client. That's not going to work because they might not want an accelerator. They might not want something that's blue. They might not like that scent. They might not be able to have the price of it. So it's not one size fits all for everyone. So you have to make sure you know all the information beforehand so you can tailor the situation and tailor the solution to them specifically. It is always going to be different no matter what. But it starts with actively listening to your customers so you can tailor your sales pitch directly to what their need is. So that way you're actively listening. That goes back into session 1 with creating connections through communication. You're actively listening to your clients so you can tailor your sales pitch directly to what they're looking for. So effective selling strategy is just a review of what we talked about today. I'm going to look for questions super quick. Okay, I don't see any. Perfect. Okay, so just a review today, we're almost finished. You're creating a positive experience for your client. That's kind of step 1. As long as they walk into the salon, or as soon as they walk into the salon, you want to greet them. So you're creating a positive experience from the very beginning with them. Then you're establishing orientation. This is basically figuring out what they want and what they're looking for. So from there, obviously, it kind of goes into a conversation type of scenario. So you're figuring out what they're looking for and you're figuring out what they came in for. So they're going to tell you pretty much what they came in for. They're like, I want a tan. I've had so many people tell me that. I'm here to tan. Spray tanning or bed tanning. And I think people just say that to be funny. But the more you hear it, the less funny it becomes. You're like, okay, I get it. Do you want spray tanning or bed tanning? So you have to say it with like a smile on your face because it's like kind of sarcastic. But I had so many clients tell me that. I'm like, I don't understand what's funny about this. And then they start laughing. It's like, I don't understand what's funny. But okay. But establishing orientation with your clients, you're stimulating the client's curiosity within the product and services to help draw them in. So they're already coming in to tan, but they don't know what beds you have. So you have to show them all your beds. And then they also don't know what tanning lotion is. Most of the time they don't. So you have to tell them what tanning lotion is and what it can do for their skin. And then you're talking to them about tanning lotion and they're so intrigued and they're so curious about everything that they want to know more and then they want to do everything. And then also selling based on value when it comes to the products and the services. So clients aren't coming in to just drop money for no reason. They're coming in for a reason because you provide a service for them. And the products also provide a service for them. So we want to make sure that you are selling our products based on the value of the product and what it can do for the client's skin versus just telling, oh, Fortune's $144. This one's the best one for you. Well, why? They're going to want to know probably why if they're going to drop $150 for it. So you want to make sure that you're selling based on value and not based on price. That's huge. Always bring down your Color Rush collection bottles first. So Fortune, Prismatica, DC Glow, always bring down these bottles because they're the best of the best for the client. And you tell them that. Maybe they can't afford it right now. That's totally fine. I don't know, sometimes when I was in college, I didn't have $150 to drop on Fortune every once in a while. So I would have to start a little bit lower down on the list, but I always worked my way back up to a Color Rush collection bottle because I knew that was the best for me. So work with your clients to get them at back to the best of the best and the best value for their skin. That's the Color Rush collection bottles. Oopsies. And then that is all I had for you guys today. Do you have any questions? If you do, you can please type them in the chat box. Thank you so much for logging on with me today. And I'm so sorry I had to move it back 30 minutes, but we ended on time, actually. I made it an hour today, which is so exciting because normally I always go over. But thank you everyone for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. If you have no questions, you are free to log off. If you do have questions, I will stay on for a couple more minutes. This will be up on Devoted on Demand, hopefully by the end of the week, so you can rewatch it with your employees, with the presentation and the recording as well. So thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, you can always email me or text me as well. If not, you are free to log off and have a great rest of your week. So I thank you, everyone.